While dancing closely with a young star, she received a call from her husband who was in an arranged marriage, asking her to pay her dues. I lied, I'm sick. I have a bad fever. My waist is twisted to the sky, and the fever is quite severe. He sneered. Booth in the back right seat. Bring the wild man in your arms and have a drink with your husband. His tone was cold and a little teasing. I started to run, but he grabbed me by the back of my neck and looked dangerously at me. Wife, why are you running? Your husband will help you get rid of your fever. The story is about to begin. If you like it, remember to like and follow. My best friend has organized a new party, and it's so dazzling. I was wearing a miniskirt and dancing closely with a newly debuted little star. Sister, you are so beautiful. Sister, you are so hot. The little puppy calls me sister all the time, which makes me very happy. Do you have a boyfriend? He asked. I don't have any boyfriend. They are just some emotional mentors I met by chance. I have never even been in love and have never held a boy's hand. I smiled ambiguously and my fingers quietly stroked his fair face and small hands. Sister, your phone keeps ringing. He reminded me. Asshole, which blind person has been preventing me from hooking up with men? I picked up my phone and saw that it was my resentful husband. Linda, do you know what day it is today? Mark's voice was cold on the other end of the phone. I gritted my teeth. Sunday. Do you remember what day Sunday is? Every Sunday is the day when I have to pay my taxes. Mark and I have a business marriage, there is no love involved, only acting skills. Even the weekly sexual life between husband and wife is avoided if possible. This time, I plan to use the same trick again. I deliberately lowered my voice and coughed softly a few times. I am sick, and my fever won't go away. Now the fever is very high, so today. Before I finished speaking, there was a sneer from the other end of the phone. My waist is twisted to the sky, and the fever is quite severe. I panicked, and suddenly felt that something was wrong. The booth at the back right, bring the wild man in your arms and have a drink with your husband. There was a hint of teasing in the cold voice. I turned around suddenly and met Mark's ambiguous gaze. Mark was seen lazily leaning on the sofa, twirling a lighter in his hand. Dressed in a neat suit, under the bright lights of the bar, Mark looked even more cool and abstinent. The moment our eyes met, I had only one thought in my mind, it's over. I ran away. As soon as I stepped out of the door, a big hand suddenly grabbed my neck. Why are you running? His voice was cold and his eyes were dangerous. The high fever won't go away? I smiled to hide my panic. Mark, do you believe in medical miracles? He laughed and asked me, Linda, do you believe I'm a fool? I can believe. I really have a fever. I still argued in a low voice without giving up. Mark stared at me with his lips curled, laughed softly, and said, That's great. I'll help my wife get rid of her fever. The passenger door slammed shut. I closed my eyes in despair. There was no escape tonight. Mark and I are childhood sweethearts, and also sworn enemies. Other people's childhood sweethearts are all innocent, but we were just two kids who fought with each other. We have been compared to each other since we were young, but the hateful thing is that I can't compare to him in anything. Even our marriage was because my family needed his help for business. Before getting married, I drafted an agreement with more than 200 items. Mark only raised an objection to the clause that Party A and Party B did not perform their married life during the continuance of their marriage. Linda, do you think it's reasonable to use someone's reputation to make money while also asking them to remain a widow? I said bluntly, then you can find another woman, I don't care. Mark asked me back, I already have a wife, why would I look for another woman? You don't like me, besides, domestic flowers are not as fragrant as wild flowers. I didn't give up and wanted to persuade him to cheat. Mark said slowly, I abide by male ethics. Finally, I bit the bullet and proposed, well, once a month. Mark looked incredulous. Once a month? Linda, your husband is 25 this year, not 52? How many times did you think about it? Once a day. Mark really wants me to die, doesn't he? In the end, we both compromised and agreed to do it once a week. Every Sunday is the fixed day for submitting homework. We agreed to have sex once a week, but Mark and I have been married for nearly half a year and we still haven't consummated our marriage. Every Sunday, I use all kinds of excuses, such as menstruation, business trips, overtime, and illness. Unfortunately, today was a bad start. The waves were too high. Mark drove very fast in silence along the way. After arriving home, when I bent down to change my shoes, Mark's eyes fell on my miniskirt. His gaze became hot and he pushed me against the door and kissed me. I was caught off guard and was kissed hard by him. Seeing that his hands were starting to get naughty, I pushed him away, panting. Mark stared at me with a playful smile. What? Are you scared? We have been competing with each other since we were little, and neither of us is willing to give in. At this moment, we cannot show any weakness. Who is scared? I raised my voice deliberately and glared at him. I need to take a shower first. I made an excuse for myself. Mark chuckled, his hot breath fanning his ear. Want to take a shower together? No. I hurriedly pushed him away and rushed into the bathroom. The heat rose and the mist was thick. I lay in the bathtub and soaked for a long, long time. Something was bound to happen tonight. I can't be a coward, otherwise that bastard Mark might laugh at me. Who is afraid of who? They say that big trees are more likely to produce small peppers. I thought about Mark 188's height. What if Mark is not good enough or is a quick shooter? I will laugh at him to death. I took one breath, got dressed, and went out. Mark changed his suit into a loose-fitting home outfit. But to my surprise, Mark was sitting on the sofa, smoking a cigarette. His eyes were fixed on the phone screen, and he looked like he was worried about something. Every time his finger slid across the screen, his expression became darker. I stood there for a long time, and Mark didn't even notice me. I smoked like a man who had just broken up with his girlfriend. I couldn't help it, so I quietly took out my phone and complained to my bestie, "Sister, my husband seems to have been heartbroken." He sat on the sofa with a lonely face, constantly looking at his phone and smoking. It made me feel a little sad. Just after I sent it, my eyes fell on Mark's phone. Damn. No. He seemed to be holding my phone. The backup phone number is used specifically to chat with other handsome guys. At this moment, the WeChat chat screen was brightly lit with 185 centimeters tall, athlete with abdominal muscles, little wolf dog. At this moment, I am a little panicked. Why are you looking at other people's phones? Mark read my flirtatious words with a cold face. I feel uncomfortable and want to lie down. 185 long legs, six-pack abs, collarbones, a nice voice, considerate, coaxing, affectionate and loyal little brother cried in his arms. In a panic, I just wanted to grab my phone immediately. Give it to me. With an unsteady movement, she accidentally fell into his arms. Mark stretched out his hands and held my waist tightly. Following his gaze, we discovered. The collar of the bathrobe had already come undone during the struggle. I had just finished taking a shower and hadn't had time to put on any underwear. I hurriedly reached out to straighten my collar and cover my chest. He looked straight at me and said jokingly, "Why bother? You'll have to take it off soon anyway." I gritted my teeth. How could he say such shameless words in a serious manner? Give me the phone. He tapped the screen a few times with his fingers, and I had no idea what he was doing. A little anxious, What are you doing?" I twisted my body to try to get my phone back. Hiss, don't move. A muffled groan came from above my head. Just move, Mark, your belt is hurting me. I ignored him, and he said in a restrained voice, "Linda, is your belt tied in this position?" I paused, looking downward. Excuse me. At this point, something was not quite right. I sat on his lap and he supported my waist. The atmosphere also became a little strange. Anyway, I can't hide tonight. Go back to the room. He picked me up with one hand and moved the battlefield to the bedroom. The mattress is very soft and feels a bit empty when lying on it. Mark took off his shirt with one hand. The abdominal muscles are thin, not exaggerated, but still sexy. My face turned red as I watched him, and I deliberately turned my head away from him. He chuckled softly. Why? Are you shy? My face turned red and I raised my voice deliberately. Who is shy? Then why are you blushing? I am too hot? Oh, you have a fever, you need to reduce the fever, right? He said with a double meaning. I couldn't help it. Come if you want to, don't make it fancy. It's just that kind of thing, I've seen it all. In fact, I really haven't seen anything. When I was in school, I only had one boyfriend, and we were just into pure love at that time. My face would turn red just by holding hands. Now, he was about to come into close contact with his mortal enemy whom he had grown up with. I was very nervous. He stared at me with great interest, very steadily. It was a psychological battle, and he was sure to win, just waiting to see me make a fool of myself. The next period of time will be his personal output. It was a strange and weird feeling, anyway, after it was over. I secretly thought, it's not too bad. It's not too long, it's bearable. I just pulled the quilt over me and prepared to sleep, but I didn't expect him to pull me up again. I was confused. What are you doing, Mark? Isn't it over? It's over? It hasn't even started yet. We agreed to do it once a week. Make up for the ones you missed before. How could you have saved all of this? I don't know how long it took. Honey, has the fever gone down? What should I do? It seems to be getting hotter. Mark, you dog, I'm going to kill you. I want to die. I don't remember when I fell asleep. When I woke up, I felt a sore waist and pain in my lower abdomen. The whole person was held in his arms, feeling stuffy and hot. Looking at that disgusting face, I kicked him angrily and turned over. What's wrong? He stretched out his hand and tightened his arm while half asleep and half awake. Let me go, Mark. My stomach hurts. I covered my lower abdomen and curled up on the bed. Stomachache? He woke up instantly, got up quickly and turned on the light. We were both shocked when we saw the bloodstain on the bed sheet. Why is there so much blood? I covered my stomach and felt the pain getting worse and worse. What's going on? Mark, you broke me. Mark looked at my pale face and panicked instantly. Let's go to the hospital. I won't go to the hospital. It's too embarrassing to go to the hospital for this reason. Then can I take a look? He looked worried. No, get out. I hugged the quilt, feeling scared and panicked. Mark picked up the bedside phone and made a call for some reason. When the other party picked up the phone, his voice was unclear. Mark, you better have something important to tell me when you call me at this hour. Mark coughed lightly. Well, that is, we slept today. An extremely impatient curse came from the other end of the phone. Mark, please behave yourself. You called me in the middle of the night just to show off that you've lost your virginity, right? Am I some kind of cheap person? Mark frowned. It's just, she has a stomachache and bleeding. What's going on? The other party was shocked. Could it be that the progesterone has broken down? Go to the hospital for a checkup. Mark, you are such a beast. Even if you have been thirsty for years, you should slow down your energy. No wonder no one likes you. The other party was still scolding him, so he hung up the phone. This time, there was no hesitation. Let's go to the hospital. Without giving me any chance to refuse, he quickly dressed me and carried me out. Driving very fast all the way. My heart was beating fast and I wanted to cut him into pieces. In the emergency room, Mark explained the cause of the disease, and I shrank my head like a quail. It is initially suspected that the abdominal pain is caused by the rupture of progesterone. After saying that, he instructed Mark. Help your wife onto the examination table, take off her pants, and examine her first. What? Take off your pants? Check. I won't do it anymore. I don't feel any pain anymore, really, it's much better now. Be good, don't be afraid, just let the doctor check it out. Mark advised me patiently, and I lowered my head. Mark, I really don't feel any pain anymore. I had a stomachache when I first woke up, but for some reason it feels better now. Hey girl, don't be nervous, I'm a doctor, and we're both women, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm speechless, isn't there a man? Young man, help your wife quickly, don't waste time. I can do it myself, you get out. I pushed Mark. Hey, stop wasting time. What is there to be ashamed of as a married couple? You young people just don't know how to be restrained. Even if you are in good shape, you still have to take it easy. Look how much your wife is suffering. The doctor educated Mark while wearing medical gloves. Mark nodded repeatedly, embarrassed. I was like a lamb to be slaughtered, with my eyes closed the whole time. The mood is extremely complicated. How embarrassing, time seemed to pass by like years. Finally, the doctor said, there is no wound, just some redness and swelling. Go get an ultrasound to check the uterus. Your wife doesn't seem to be in too much pain, so it doesn't look like the progesterone has ruptured. More than 10 minutes later, the doctor held the ultrasound results and looked at Mark speechlessly. There's nothing wrong with your wife, she just has her period and the stomachache is just common menstrual cramps. Ah? Mark was stunned. Finally, I breathed a sigh of relief. You guys are grown up, don't you understand this? I continued to act dumb, and Mark apologized, I'm sorry to trouble you. On the way back, I collapsed in the passenger seat and pretended to be dead. It's so shameful. It's so embarrassing. Passing by a convenience store, Mark stopped the car and bought some things. Don't you even know your period? My menstrual period is irregular, and I have a cold uterus, so I often have dysmenorrhea. It's all because of you. I wanted to refute him loudly, but I didn't have the confidence, and my lower abdomen was aching a little. The voice was a little soft. His eyes fell on me, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Well, blame me. I'll be more careful next time. My face turned red and I turned my head away, ignoring him. I'm so angry. Why does he always catch me in trouble? It seems like he was born to watch me make a fool of myself. Like the summer when I was 15. Because I developed late and had not had my period for a long time, my mother was worried and took me to the hospital for a checkup. As a result, I ran into Mark and his mother. The two of them started chatting as if no one was around. Mark and I followed behind them, acting as their assistants. My little girl is in the 3rd year of junior high school and she still hasn't had her period. I came to check it out and it turned out to be okay. Everything is normal, except that her body is developing late. The doctor said not to worry, her breasts have started to develop and her period will come soon. I followed them with a red face, feeling extremely embarrassed. Especially, with Mark by my side. Hey, what are you doing in the hospital? We are here to perform a minor operation on Mark. I was shocked when I heard the word surgery. Mark, are you sick? No. He said with a cold face. The two mothers laughed out loud. Oh Linda, you are still young. You will understand when you grow up. But I think if it comes to the point of needing surgery, it must be very serious. During that time, I always asked him what illness he had. He was so annoyed with me that one day he frowned and reminded me impatiently. Linda, there's blood on your skirt. Don't you know you're on your period? I soiled my skirt that day and had difficulty moving. It was he who bought me sanitary napkins and new clothes. Finally, he threw me a sentence, it's so troublesome. I just felt embarrassed and angry. After this chaotic farce, I was already tired and sleepy. When I woke up, Mark was gone. I picked up the phone on the bedside table and suddenly found that my WeChat secondary accounts were all empty. There was only one unread message from a contact with the note husband, the company has an emergency meeting. Ah, Mark, that bastard. My fish pond was empty overnight. I can't help being angry. Wasn't he talking about some conjugal duty? In addition to the obligations in bed, there are naturally also obligations outside the bed. I started ordering him around like crazy. The water cannot be too cold or too hot, the food cannot be too salty or too bland. After marriage, I have been living in my own house and there is nothing of mine in the wedding room. I started a shopping spree, using his card. The bathroom should smell fragrant and the bedroom should be pink. His eyes were complicated as he looked at the occupied wardrobe and the pink bed set. Mark has been a germaphobe since he was a child and has a strong sense of territory. He hates others touching his things the most. He'd better be so annoyed with me that he never comes home again. However, this time, he was not angry. There will be a jewelry auction next week. I'll ask my secretary to send you the list later. See if there's anything you like. Is he okay? Mark, are you in such a good mood today? I don't understand. He lifted up my skirt that was piled on the sofa, leaned over to me, and spoke in a lazy voice. Well, I'm happy today, so I wanted to spend some money. Is there anything else you want? How much money did this dog man make today? He is so happy. My strategy failed, and I angrily said, I want the stars in the sky. Good. Good? How many dishes are there? Why do you drink so much? It wasn't until a few days later that an astronomical telescope appeared on the balcony of my home. Just when I was confused, he waved at me. Come and have a look. Do you see that star at 5 o'clock? Looking through the telescope, you can see the starry sky. He stood behind me, his voice low. I bought the naming rights for that asteroid, and the star is called Linda. I turned my head, and under the moonlight, he actually looked a little bit good-looking. I was distracted for a moment. Illusion. Mark, you have too much money to burn, right? Do you know what common property of a couple is? You better save your money. Although Mark's tone was somewhat helpless, there was a hint of doting in his eyes. Humph, I don't want your money. I spoke toughly, but I was touched in my heart. Although Mark always argues with me at ordinary times, he always surprises me at critical moments. When I went out the next day, I was met with gossipy gazes from my best friend. She poked me quietly, Did you two sleep together yesterday? I yawned silently and ignored her. Seeing that I agreed, she became even more excited. Oh my baby Linda is finally happy. My face turned red and I interrupted her, Shut up. But my best friend was like a wild animal jumping up and down in a melon field, and she wasn't going to let me off so easily. Quickly share with your sisters what it feels like to sleep with your mortal enemy. TSK. Two people who have been fighting each other since childhood are giving up their virginity to each other. Where? I almost spit out a mouthful of water from my mouth. How could Mark be Your husband is well known in the industry for not being interested in women. Many celebrities and socialites have thrown themselves at him, but none of them have succeeded. There are even rumors that he is gay. My bestie explained, and I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Mark is a virgin, you might as well believe that I'm God. Especially his performance yesterday didn't look like a novice at all. My best friend looked at me and shook her head. Why do you hate Mark so much? If I had such a perfect childhood sweetheart, I would have taken action long ago. He is rich, beautiful, and keeps himself clean. Especially that face and long legs, which are the material that makes people can't help but have erotic dreams. My sister, have you never been tempted? I laughed and said, that's because you don't understand him. He is a very hypocritical person. Furthermore, maybe it's because I have had the filter of a mortal enemy towards him since childhood. I have never thought that Mark is that good looking. Mark and I were born one after the other. At that time, the Shen and Pei families were neighbors, and both families lived in a courtyard house in the alley. Since he was born, grandparents envied Mark's family for having a boy. And Mark and I are always compared together. He has been other people's child since he was young. Good looking, good personality, good at studying. Although I am not bad, but when I am around him, I am always outshined by him. I grew up late, and I am half a head shorter than him. Standing next to him, I always feel like a small potato. I try my best to get 98 points in every exam. And he, even after taking a week off, still managed to get full marks. There were many girls in school chasing after him, but he was too proud to be liked by anyone. He found the love letter I wrote to someone else, laughed at me for being lovesick, and told my parents. Due to our family environment, our parents have extremely high expectations of us. When I was a rebellious teenager, I was discovered and was always taught to learn more from Mark. But he always pretends and is always a good boy in front of his teachers and parents. But they would secretly smoke and watch pornographic films. Even when I saw him, he still looked calm, because no one would believe that a good boy like him would do such a thing. So, I have hated Mark since I was a child. I hate his hypocrisy, arrogance, and indifference. Of course he also hates me, hates my stupidity, pampering, and unreasonableness. Especially after graduation, we all took over the family business. As a newcomer, I was confused and overwhelmed, but he was very familiar with it. If you meet him in the business world, you can't help but be ridiculed by him. If I were to name the most annoying person in the world, I would definitely say Mark without hesitation. Other people's childhood sweethearts are all innocent and inseparable. As for Mark, I just want to get rid of him as soon as possible. The only thing I think about him is, I really want to beat him once. But things are unpredictable. 2 years ago, my mother died unexpectedly. Before her body was cold, my father brought the woman and illegitimate child he had kept outside back home. The stepmother is eyeing the property. Fortunately, I have worked hard in the past 2 years and have managed the company to be very successful. But I am a girl, and my father always wanted to leave the property to his son. Mark's mother and my mother have been friends for many years, and she has treated me like her half-daughter since I was a child. To help me, she made the decision for Mark to marry me. I asked Mark why he agreed to marry me, and he said he had been used to it since he was a child and he had no other choice. Mark's family business is very big, and after we got married, it naturally brought me many benefits. Especially after our marriage news was revealed, it caused quite a stir on the internet. Netizens lamented that we were a perfect match, a golden boy and a beautiful girl, and started to enjoy the sweetness of us as a wealthy couple. It's just that the whole circle knows that Mark and I don't get along very well, but there are still many people who think that ours is a business marriage, and even speculate how long it will take for us to divorce. No matter what kind of voice it was, it brought enough heat to the Shen and Pei families, and the stock price market value of the two families directly increased by 100 million. So, Mark and I have to play the role of a loving couple. After all, who can resist money? After a business forum ended today, we were invited to participate in a television media interview. This was the first time Mark and I appeared together after our marriage. I took his arm with a proper smile on my face. Some people started to comment. A top-tier wealthy family is getting married. What a perfect couple they are. They are more pleasing to the eye than any other couple in the entertainment industry. Romance novels shine through in reality, and it turns out that rich people eventually marry. Match between the well-matched and powerful people, this is the reality. Watch less TV dramas and novels, there are not so many Cinderellas. +1, the wealthy family's marriages are all for profit, not for love, so stop messing around with CP. Mark and I looked at the camera, smiled and said hello. The host began to ask questions. The marriage between the Mark family and the Linda family has attracted the attention of the entire network. After seeing them today, it is indeed a handsome man and a beautiful woman, a perfect match. But I heard that you two got married in a flash, so, can Mark and Linda share this love story with everyone? Mark nodded politely and smiled. First of all, I want to clarify that my wife and I did not get married for fun. We are childhood sweethearts. My wife is my first love. I have liked her for many years. Now I can only say that I have finally gotten what I wanted. I rolled my eyes silently in my heart. Mark, this bastard, is still so good at pretending. Of course, when facing the camera, they naturally have to play the role of a loving couple. I smiled shyly and replied, yes, we have known each other since childhood and have been in love with each other for many years. My biggest wish over the years is to marry my husband. Seeing this, the host quickly joked, it's really enviable to have childhood sweethearts finally have a happy ending. So when do you two plan to have children? Mark smiled faintly, it's already in the plan. Wow, those two's good looks must not be wasted, it would be better to have more children. Mark smiled tenderly, I still have to listen to my wife about this matter. After all, she is the one who suffers when giving birth. He squeezed my hand, then lowered his head and asked me softly, honey, how many do you want? I gritted my teeth and forced a smile, I prefer a son and a daughter, what do you think, husband? After saying that, she scratched his palm fiercely with her nails. Mark still smiled very gently, I'll do as you say. The comment section of the live broadcast room suddenly became hot. Those who say that the marriage between the rich and powerful is loveless should take a look. They are childhood sweethearts. The interaction between the two is so loving, their eyes are so sweet, I can feel the sweetness even through the screen. Oh my God, what kind of fairy love is this? They are childhood sweethearts, well matched, and they are each other's first love. Of course, there are different voices. Don't take it too seriously. Rich people, like celebrities, are all histrionics. Many of them play loving couples in public, but spend a lot of money on their own in private. Plus one, I heard that the two of them were fighting to the death before. If they really have been dating for many years, why haven't they been exposed by the media? Next, under the guidance of the host, they played a game to test the tacit understanding between couples. Our answers to several questions were surprisingly consistent. Actually, this is not surprising. After all, we grew up together. We are the people who hate each other the most, but we are also the people who understand each other the most. But some people in the live broadcast room began to raise questions. This is a bit fake, my husband and I can't be so in sync. The programs are all scripted, and the interviews are scheduled in advance, so there is naturally plenty of time to memorize the lines. I also think it's a bit fake, this show of affection is a bit too deliberate. It's obviously a business marriage, stop pretending. The interview wasn't too long and Mark and I worked well together. Although there are still many questioning voices, there are also many people who are happy to see our childhood sweethearts. At the end of the show, when I was leaving the stage, Mark extended his hand to me considerately. I had been sitting for a long time, and because my blood pressure was low, I suddenly felt a little dizzy when I stood up. Not only did he lose his balance under his feet, but his hands also grabbed nothing. The whole person suddenly fell towards the stage. In critical moments, Mark acted as my human air cushion. I fell down and landed on him, but I was fine and he held me in his arms. But when he fell down, I heard him gasp in pain. I realized that my knee hit him between his legs and he was in so much pain that a layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Mark. What's wrong with you? Without caring about anything else, I accompanied him to the hospital emergency room. Mark seemed to be in great pain. I supported him. His steps were unsteady and his whole weight was on me. Mark, does it hurt? He looked miserable, and I was panicking. What do you think? He asked me back. I became even more panicked. He can't be really hurt, right? In the emergency room, the young doctor spoke slowly and his voice sounded familiar. Hey, isn't this Mark who is good at protecting his wife? What? Was he gloriously wounded? Mark glanced at him coldly, shut up. I'm so anxious. Doctor, please take a quick look, he seems to be injured somewhere. Where? The doctor asked me. Well, then. Wow, you two only do these exciting things. This doctor continued to joke leisurely and in a nonchalant manner. Take off his pants. Ah? Take off your pants. I was a little unresponsive. Don't waste time. There's nothing for a couple to be embarrassed about. The doctor urged me and said lightly. Didn't you just come to the emergency room a few days ago? You two should be familiar with the procedures. I really want to rip his mouth off. The case is solved, he is the person Mark called for help late at night. I took off Mark's pants with all my strength. How's it going, doctor? He frowned and shook his head. It's hard to say. Let's go to the hospital first. I was disappointed. Mark, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it. I tried cautiously. How do you feel now? He said expressionlessly, not very well. My heart sank completely. Medical science is so advanced now, it will definitely be cured. I comforted him. What if it can't be cured? He asked me coldly. God forgives no one, I won't really ruin Mark's life, will I? Am I going to be a widow for the rest of my life? I only used it once, what a pity, what was I thinking? I am very anxious. What's even more worrying is that Mark and I became a hot topic because of this accident. The good news is that the original remarks such as business marriage has no feelings and the love is too fake disappeared overnight, and all turned into the president is protecting his wife with strength. The bad news is that everyone knew that Mark was injured while saving me, and they all came to visit me. The first person to rush to the hospital was his mother. Mark's mother first took my hand and looked me up and down. Mom was shocked after watching the news. Is Linda injured? I shook my head. Mom, I'm fine, it's just Mark. You are so grown up, but you can't even help your own wife. His mother glanced at Mark on the bed and asked again. Where are you hurt? We were both stunned and didn't know how to start. I was silent for a few seconds. It's injured, my leg. Mark's mother, left leg or right leg? Is it serious? Is it broken? I don't know whether it was folded or not. I looked at Mark for help. He replied impatiently, no. Why are you staying in the hospital? And you let Linda accompany you. You are a grown man, but you are so squeamish. Why don't you go back and earn money? Mark's cell phone has been ringing nonstop since he was hospitalized. After sending away those who came to visit him offline, he still has to deal with various online greetings. In short, he was very tired and I was very panicked. I don't know how badly he was injured. I have been very weak these days and need someone to serve me wherever I do. I want to take a shower. Just bear with it for a while. You can't wash now. I can't stand it. Take off your clothes and I'll help you wipe them. Help me take it off. Your hand is not broken. I feel exhausted. What a great dad. I tore open the hospital gown for him, and when my eyes fell on his back, I was stunned. The lights were off that day, so I couldn't see clearly. There is a fist-sized scar on the shoulder blade. How did you get this scar? As far as I can remember, Mark has never been injured this badly. Forgot. He said casually. If you don't say it, it's ugly. He needs someone to feed him when he eats and help him get out of bed. I serve him like an ancestor, just asking him to get up quickly. That Robert, is he your friend? Mark hummed without even looking up. So what did he say? I asked. He said to observe. So how do you feel now? No feeling. I was feeling panicked. Finally, I couldn't bear it anymore and caught the doctor named Robert. Robert, how is Mark recovering? He looked up casually. How should I know this? Don't you have to check it yourself? Me, after hesitating for a long time, I decided to take action while he was asleep. That night, Mark slept soundly. I quietly moved to his bedside and lifted the quilt. My heart was beating fast and I took a deep breath. Get ready to witness a miracle. I decided to go all out, so I gritted my teeth and did it. You can't wait? A teasing voice suddenly floated into my ears. My hands trembled, and I looked up, meeting Mark's gaze. My fingers tried to escape as if they were electrocuted, but he caught them. What are you doing? I should be the one asking you this. He stared at me, his eyes narrowed. I just want to check how you are recovering. The whole person was suddenly pressed under him. I was startled. What are you doing? Aren't you going to check on your recovery? A faint laugh floated in his ear. Mark, this is a hospital. Today is Sunday. Mark, when will you be okay? Now. The next day. Yo, aren't these the sweetest wealthy couple? My best friend stared at me and joked with a smirk. It's all acting. I explained speechlessly. Her eyes fell on me while she ate the melon. TSK, you look good, be careful that your fakeness turns into reality, Miss Shin. Thinking of yesterday's excitement, my ears felt hot. No way. Who would like a jerk like Mark? I spoke tough, but I was a little confused inside. I am willing to spend money and energy on you. You can make me wake up with a smile in my dreams. A word from my best friend woke me up. Anyway, we can't get a divorce, so Mark and I have to continue our current relationship. Once the situation becomes more open, just treat him as a free and top-notch duck. Apart from the fact that he always likes to say dirty words, at least we are quite harmonious in bed. My best friend suddenly remembered something. I heard David is invited to our alma mater's anniversary celebration next week. Really? I wasn't surprised. I heard that his company has just been listed overseas, and his net worth is getting higher and higher. Your first love has really made a comeback. What a pity, now our Linda is already taken, otherwise maybe you two would have a chance to reconcile. She couldn't help but sigh and asked me again. Regrets? I shook my head, there's nothing to regret. He was the one who let go first. David was my boyfriend when I was in college. We were in a relationship for 2 years and I really liked him. After all, this was the only relationship I had in all these years. However, when he graduated, a high-paying job abroad offered him an olive branch, but he chose his future. Now he has finally got what he wanted. Many graduated students received invitations to their alma mater's centenary celebration. After not seeing each other for many years, both of them lamented the changes that had taken place over the years. I arrived a little late, and someone started to make fun of me as soon as I entered the door. Hey, our goddess Linda is finally here. You and Mark didn't show up, and everyone thought you two sweet couple were going to stand us up. I smiled shyly and found an empty seat to sit down. Suddenly, I heard someone calling my name. Linda, long time no see. Following the sound, I saw David sitting opposite me. After not seeing him for a few years, the young boy now wears a high-end suit and an expensive watch on his wrist, looking like a successful man. The looks from the people around him were also more flattering. I paused for a moment before coming back to my senses. Long time no see, David. Seeing this, someone started to joke. By the way, you two were dating for a while, right? I remember that it was Linda who pursued David, right? But our goddess Linda is getting married. It's a pity for you two, the golden couple. I was a little embarrassed. We were young and just having fun. My story with David is known to everyone. Actually, it was me who pursued him. I can't really say why I like him. If I have to give a reason, it's that he is the opposite of Mark. Compared to Mark's sharp tongue, wildness, and arrogance, David is really gentle and quiet. We dated for 2 years, but after graduation, he gave up our relationship for a high-paying job abroad. Over the years, I occasionally heard his name from my classmates. I heard that he got a green card and had a big business abroad. Someone in the crowd echoed, yes, Linda is very popular now. I saw on the news that netizens are calling her and Mark the really sweet couple. I didn't expect that you and Mark would become a family after fighting each other for so long. What do you know? That's called a pair of happy enemies. Beating is love and scolding is love. Do you understand the fun of it? The classmates were joking with each other. Speaking of Mark, someone asked me again, Linda, why didn't Mark come today? He had an emergency meeting at the branch office today, so he's on a business trip, I explained. That's a pity. I heard that the dean wanted him to give the closing speech. It seems that you have to do it for him. We specially invited David to this school celebration. Everyone thought you were abroad and would not come back. It was a surprise to see you today. David smiled and explained, I have to come back. After all, there are people I want to see in China. As outstanding graduates, we were all invited to speak. However, for people like Mark and I who grew up in wealthy families, even if we are successful in our careers today, it can always be attributed to the support from our family. But David is different. He was a kid from a small county, but in just a few years he became the president of a listed company. Just the 4 words started from scratch are enough to inspire countless students. David was calm and composed on the podium, speaking eloquently, and the audience burst into applause. He is far from the introverted and taciturn boy he used to be. At the end of the speech, someone asked, I heard that you have plans to shift the focus of your company's business from overseas to domestic recently. Can you share the reasons for your return to China? He nodded and smiled, his eyes swept over me, with an expression on his face that I couldn't read. I want to get back everything I've lost. After the activity was over, the students shouted that they wanted to get together. I looked at my watch and found an excuse to refuse. Just as I was about to leave, David suddenly called me. Linda, can you talk for a minute? Everything between David and I ended cleanly many years ago, so I don't want to dwell on it any further. It's not convenient. My husband is waiting for me at home. He was stunned for a moment, then forced a smile. Can't we even be friends after breaking up? I shook my head and said seriously, I don't have the habit of being friends with my exes. Besides, I'm married now, so I should avoid suspicion, right? He was silent, his voice slightly bitter. Linda, are you still blaming me for going abroad? I shook my head. David, oh no, now I should call you Boss David. You had your own difficulties back then, and whether I understand or not, you made your choice, so there's no need to dwell on it. He suddenly grabbed my hand and said, Linda, I have worked very hard these years, just hoping that one day I would have enough capital to stand in front of you. I know that your marriage with Mark is a business one and there is no love. I suddenly felt a little annoyed. Do you need to judge whether we have feelings for each other? Did you install a camera under my bed? I said coldly, shaking off his hand. Open. Linda. He was about to say something else, but was interrupted. Boss David, you may not understand what I'm saying? My wife told you to let go. Mark appeared out of nowhere, leaning against the car body with a cold look in his eyes. Mark, you've always known that Linda doesn't like you. David met Mark's gaze directly. You have known each other since childhood. If she liked you, how could she become my girlfriend? Mark chuckled noncommittally. Yes, then how come she became my wife if you like her so much? David's eyes paused, and there was a hint of anger on his face. Mark, I was sorry to Linda for what happened back then, but you may not have acted uprightly either. Mark, there are many things you have done, but Linda still doesn't know about them, right? Mark looked up lazily with disdain. Then I guess she doesn't want to know what David did. The Mark family and the Linda family are just exchanging interests. Relatively speaking, the business of my company actually benefits more from the business of the Linda family. He looked at Mark calmly and said in a deep voice. I have worked hard for many years and finally I am able to sit on this gaming field with you as an equal. Mark seemed to have heard a joke. I heard that Boss David's overseas business has been transferred to a new domestic sector. I heard that the Harbor Phase 2 project has just been won, right? Do you dare to follow? Mark sneered. David, I still say those 3 words. Mark stared at him and spoke word by word. You are not deserving. Mark took my hand and got in the car. We were silent all the way and it suddenly started raining outside the window. The rain was getting heavier. Mark, drive slower, I reminded him. He suddenly stepped on the brakes and stopped in an empty corner. He took out a cigarette from the box irritably and was about to put it in his mouth. His eyes glanced at me and then he put it back. Their eyes met and he suddenly leaned in for a kiss. What are you doing? There was a sound of rain outside the window and the air inside the car was hot. He looked straight at me. Linda, do you want to beat me? Do you dare to make a bet? Just bet whether he will play against me for you. His smile was unclear. If you win, I'll give you all my wealth. If I win. He gently twisted his fingers around the straps of my skirt. How about you take the initiative this time? What a damn bet. I blushed. Who wants to bet with you? Do you dare? Bet my entire fortune at once. He stared straight at me and threw out an unusually generous bait. Mark is a psychopath. I calmed down and reminded him. Mark, be reasonable. The harbor project is not your area of expertise. Yes, if he dares to follow, my chances of winning are not great. He agreed and changed his voice. But I'll still beat him. I couldn't help but complain about him. Arrogant guy. He tightened his arms, and the distance between them was almost zero. His hot breath fanned against your ear and he gave you a wicked smile. Honey, do you still have your high school uniform? Look for it when you have time. Mark, you have no shame. You're a pervert. I blushed and cursed him. Who was it that begged me to be more perverted? He laughed softly in my ear. Shut up. Good. He kept his mouth shut but took action. Mark, you bastard, you, get out of here. The sound of rain gradually got heavier and water stains slid down the car windows. The sight flickers. In the past few days, a competition has begun between Mark and David. For a while, the whole circle was talking about this fight between gods. Frankly speaking, these 2 men were both extremely rational people, but they gradually became bloodthirsty during this confrontation. Especially Mark, he invested huge sums of money without hesitation. Everyone was discussing who would win in the end. I was busy with my own things and didn't pay much attention to it. I just asked my assistant to check David's information. A few days later, my assistant said to me, Boss Linda, David is out. No. I'm not too surprised. Mark has had a strong desire to win since he was a child, and he has never failed to get what he wanted. Although he did not have an advantage in this project, his determination to win did put enough pressure on the opponent. He is very good at playing with people's hearts. The assistant hesitated, then reminded me, Boss David is here. I didn't expect David to come to me. Linda, the capital investment and risk of the harbor project are too high. I have to consider it later. He explained with some embarrassment. Boss David, you don't need to explain your own decision to me. I don't mind replying. Linda. I know you hate me for leaving you, but I really had no choice. My mother is sick and needs to take medicine all year round, and my sister still needs to go to school. How can a family like mine be worthy of you? My annual living expenses can't even afford a bag in your hand. I can only work hard and seize opportunities to climb up to shorten the distance between you and me. I feel a little irritated. David, please don't blackmail me morally. Your family is not caused by me. I understand your pressure, but I am not wrong. I understand your difficulties, but I still can't accept that you left me when I needed you the most. When I was in my senior year, my mother died of a sudden heart attack, and my father brought the woman and son who were raised outside back home. When I was most lonely and helpless, my boyfriend broke up with me because of a high-paying job. I was in a very bad state at that time. At that time, Mark had just returned from abroad. He didn't say a word of comfort. He just stood in front of me and said, Linda, if you don't cheer up, all your property will be taken away. His words woke me up. I don't have time to be depressed anymore. I don't even have the energy to think about the pain of a broken heart. Especially now that many years have passed, I have long since become indifferent to it. David, to put it bluntly, I am just your choice after weighing the pros and cons. Don't make yourself so sentimental. I didn't want to talk to him anymore, so I asked my secretary to see him off. What happened back then was Mark's plan against me. David's voice came from behind. He smiled bitterly, looking lonely. The general manager of that high-paying job abroad was Mark's friend. I was bullied in the workplace after I started working there and was fired not long after. At that time I was wandering alone in a foreign country with no money, no relatives or friends, and I almost couldn't hold on. He looked at me and spoke seriously. Linda, you are still too naive. Have you ever thought about why they chose you when there are so many families who want to marry into the Mark family? It sounds good to say that they are helping you fight for the family property, but with the strength of the Mark family, after a long time, it is still unclear whether your property belongs to you, Linda, or to Mark. Boss David is too good at judging others by his own standards. Mark is not you. I couldn't help but sneer. Linda, what do you mean? David was a little flustered. Boss David started from scratch and became successful in just 3 years, which made many people envious. But I happened to hear a little about how you started your career. Although the Lin family immigrated abroad for many years, Mrs. Lin and my mother have been friends for many years. You worked in the Lin family's group and later got engaged to the only daughter of the Lin family. You used the resources of the Lin family to establish the current company, and when the Lin family fell into a financial crisis, you broke off the engagement. Oh, and what you said about Mark plotting against you back then, it just so happens that the person was a mutual friend of Mark and I. It is true that Mark recommended you to him, but he accepted it with great joy. You were the one who got the offer. As for the so-called workplace bullying, I can only say that if you are not as skilled as others, don't make excuses. Weren't you fired because you leaked company secrets? You know everything, then why? He was very surprised. Then why didn't I expose you? I asked him back. Because I want to save some face for each other. When we meet in the business world in the future, at least we can still save face. Besides, to be honest, it's a bit embarrassing to talk about an ex like this with others. David lowered his head and remained silent for a long time. Do you think your specious words can fan the flames? Unfortunately, Linda, have been fighting with Mark for so many years. I am neither a vase nor a fool. I sneered. Mark is a man who will do whatever it takes to get what he wants, but that doesn't include dirty tricks. We have known each other for many years. Although I hate Mark, he is definitely not a person who would do evil. David gritted his teeth, still unwilling to give in, but he is an extremely hypocritical person, otherwise I would not have lost. I don't understand why you are defending him so much now. I glanced at him with disgust. Because of my people, I am the only one who can scold them. I said coldly, who do you think you are? Linda, if I hadn't saved you back then, would you have given up on me completely? David suddenly asked me for some reason. I was the one who pursued him back then, but he always rejected me coldly, saying that he didn't like me. Later I found out that his family was very ordinary and he felt he had no future with me, so he drew a clear line between us. Although I am a playboy, I am not obsessed with love. Besides, I think I am not a bad person and there are many good men. Just when I decided to give up on David, an accident occurred and I almost died in a fire. It was he who risked his life to save me. Perhaps, I said lightly. After hearing this, he smiled bitterly. So, have you liked Mark for a long time? I liked Mark a long time ago? How is that possible? Growing up, the type of boys I liked were the opposite of Mark. As for defending him, it's just that I'm angry about him being slandered. If it were someone else, it would definitely be the same. Boss Linda, Mark is here to pick you up from get off work. The assistant's prompt interrupted my thoughts. Mark is here. He must be feeling very proud now. Once again, he made a fool of himself. Especially when I think of that bet, I don't know what to do now. Why should I play such a boring game with him? My school uniform is at Linda's family house. I wanted to find an excuse to refuse, but I didn't expect him to just say I'll go with you. Ever since that mother and son came into the house, I rarely go back to this so-called home. The affection between me and my father is also gradually fading. Everyone had their own thoughts during the whole family dinner. I ate very little, and neither did Mark. All my dad talked to us about was some business matters. My stepmother's son kept making a fuss at the dinner table, and I felt a little annoyed. I didn't have much appetite, so I put down my chopsticks and went back to my room. I haven't been here for a long time and I have mixed feelings. On the table is a photo of our family of 3, and outside the door is the laughter of their family of 3. When my eyes fell on the bed, I found it a bit messy, and the little bear on the bedside table had disappeared. Without even thinking, you know who moved. I walked straight up to William and asked him, "Did you take the teddy bear off my bed? Who allowed you to enter my room?" William looked away, but still spoke confidently, "This is my home, everything is mine." The stepmother interrupted, "Linda, what's your attitude? Why do you say William took it without any evidence?" I stared at him coldly. "I'll say it again, give me back my things." My dad sighed and frowned, "It's just a little doll, Xiaohe. Your brother is young and likes to play. What's wrong with you, as his sister, giving way to him?" I just thought it was ridiculous. Who is his sister? I couldn't help yelling at him anymore. That's what my mother left for me. Now, he is surrounded by his wife and children, and has long forgotten the wife who helped him build his business from scratch. Mark, who had been silent, first held my hand. He walked calmly to William and placed his hand on his head. He stared at him with a calm, yet extremely cold gaze. "Hand over the things, or I'll tear my head off for you." "You, what are you doing?" The stepmother standing by was terrified. He glanced at her, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "Shut up." Mark raised his wrist to check his watch and tapped William's head twice. "You'll have 10 seconds. The voice was soft, but dangerous. I have never seen him like this before. His expression was extremely cold, but he was intimidating without being angry, and his aura was intimidating. William was so scared that he ran away and quickly brought the bear back. Without even raising his head, he handed it to Mark with trembling hands. Mark took it and looked at William with disgust. "How dare you bully my wife, you little bastard?" William was so scared that he burst into tears. The stepmother finally couldn't help it. "He is still a child, how could you do this to him?" My dad always gives Mark face, but today he was really shocked. "Mark, I always thought you were a sensible child, but today, what are you doing today?" Mark curled his lips and asked him back, "Linda's father, my wife was angry and I supported her. Am I not sensible enough?" Mark looked at him and sneered. "They say if you have a stepmother, you will have a stepfather. It's true." He held my hand tightly and spoke slowly. "But Linda is not a homeless child. Anyone who makes her suffer is seeking death." My dad was instantly irritated. "Mark, I'm your father-in-law. You didn't call me dad after we got married, but now what's your attitude? Even your dad never talked to me like this." "I'm the head of the Mark family now," Mark reminded him with a chuckle. "Linda's father is old, so it's better to divide the property as soon as possible. I remind you, don't lose a single cent of what belongs to Linda. Otherwise, I will steal your business every time I see you." Mark's words seemed to tear a hole in my heart. There is bitterness, touching moments, and even more disbelief. I never thought that in this world, besides my mother, there would be someone who would support me when I was wronged. "Mark, why are you helping me?" His palms were hot and his voice was soft. "I am the only one who can bully my people. Mark, you." I tried hard to hold back the tears in my eyes. You are so annoying. He looked down at me. I thought you were going to say you were falling in love with me. Who would like a disgusting person like you? After I calmed down, I started to complain about him. This is the first time I've heard you swear. As he drove, he tilted his head slightly. What? It's pretty cool. I told the truth. He actually stared at me and chuckled. It turns out my wife likes dirty talk. I'll pay attention next time. Mark, you pervert. That's not what I meant. Some people look cold and aloof, but they are actually just scoundrels. I couldn't help but complain about him. You are the best at pretending. You pretend to be a good student in school, but you smoke secretly behind my back. They say premature love will affect their studies, but they still secretly watch porn movies. His slightly frivolous gaze was fixed on me. Then do you know what I was thinking when I watched those? I glared at him unhappily. Who knows which Japanese porn teacher you are thinking about? His gaze deepened, as if it was burning through me. I'm thinking about you. My face instantly became hot. Mark, you are shameless. He chuckled and asked me, what about you? I have never seen anything like that. In fact, out of curiosity during adolescence, I also watched it secretly. What's even more shameful is that I had an indescribable dream that night. The male lead is actually Mark. How outrageous. After waking up, I was thankful that it was just a dream. That night, I changed into my high school uniform. Except for the tightness in the chest, it fits well. Some people's eyes were red and their breath was scorching hot. Wife, you were like this in my dream many years ago. Mark, shut up. Just when the atmosphere was just right, Mark's secretary called. Mark, I forgot to bring your antipyretic medicine back. Do you need me to send it to you? Mark, do you have a fever? I quickly reached out to feel the temperature of his forehead, and it was indeed hot. I just felt his hands were very hot. I was too busy these days and didn't get enough rest. I just caught a cold. No, you need to take medicine. I'm still a little worried. No need to take medicine. His eyes were fixed on me, and his voice was hoarse. Baby, I know a remedy. You have a cold uterus and I have a fever. We can heal each other. I didn't understand what he meant. His mind was filled with only his illness, and he didn't even notice when his clothes were taken off. Then I suddenly remembered that he didn't seem to eat much. Mark, why don't you eat something? He was stunned for a moment, then suddenly worked frantically. He seemed to have misunderstood. I didn't mean that. I mean, you're not in good health, you have to. He stared at me with red eyes, his voice hoarse and deep. I can't. No. The words I wanted to say were blocked and I was in tears. Finally, his fever subsided. I collapsed in his arms, holding my eyelids open. Her fingers traced the raised scar on his back. Mark, don't you have anything you want to tell me? What? Will you listen if I tell you? Why can't I? I told you a long time ago that David had no good intentions. Did you listen? You say every guy you like has bad intentions. I think you are the one with bad intentions. I was too tired to argue with him. With a bastard like him, peace will never last more than 3 seconds. The next day, Mark had a fever again. Without saying a word, I insisted on taking him to the hospital. In the emergency room, Robert, in a white coat, looked up lazily. Hey, isn't this Mark? Why are you here to boost sales for our hospital again? I was too lazy to listen to his teasing. He has had a fever since yesterday. Robert's eyes swept over his neck. Can you die if you skip a meal? You still have sex when you have a fever. Do you have any medical knowledge? My ears felt hot and I lowered my head silently. Mark gave him a glare. Shut up. Robert gave him the 4, and he closed his eyes and fell into a light sleep. Mark, this time, it's not serious. I followed Robert and asked him with some concern. It's just the after effects. He replied nonchalantly, adding, it's not serious, I won't die. What sequelae? Isn't the fever caused by catching a cold? I don't understand. He is strong and healthy. He caught a cold and had a high fever. Is he really that weak? He glanced at me speechlessly. Why is that? The after effects of a burn 5 years ago. Burns? How could Mark get hurt 5 years ago? He hasn't told you yet? 5 years ago, burns. Something suddenly occurred to me. Robert, Mark was also in the fire 5 years ago, right? How did he get injured? Robert was a little speechless. Of course I rushed in to save your life. But I don't understand. Wasn't it David who saved me? 5 years ago, a restaurant near my school caught fire and I happened to be eating there. The fire was so big that I couldn't escape. He was choked by the thick smoke and passed out. When I woke up again, I was lying in the hospital. The nurse told me that it was my boyfriend who risked his life to save me. At that time, the first person I saw after I woke up was David. I thought it was him, and he did not deny the fact that he saved me. But why would Mark hide it from me? When he went to see you, you were hugging David and crying, and then he turned and left. Damn, I didn't expect your ex to have the nerve to say that he saved you. Robert was indignant. When you were trapped in the fire, David didn't come to save you. It was Mark who rushed in like a madman. When he carried you out, he was hit on the back by the fallen beam and was seriously injured. At that time, he refused to cooperate with the treatment. Until now, the scar sometimes hurts, and it can cause fever if it is serious. I stood there, listening to every word Robert said. Why didn't he tell me? All I know is that after that incident, Mark went abroad as an exchange student for 2 years. He didn't come back from abroad until his mother passed away. Because he's an idiot. Linda, can't you see that he likes you? How could he like me? He obviously hates me the most. He hates you for risking his life to save you? He hates you for secretly giving you the business all these years? He hates you for insisting on marrying you? Linda, for so many years, Mark has been around males except you. Not to mention betting his entire fortune, he is willing to risk his life for you. Isn't this love? Robert questioned me word by word, and I couldn't bear it any longer and rushed to Mark's bedside. The tears that I had held back for so long could no longer be controlled. In the past, I was afraid that Mark would look down on me, so I never shed tears in front of him. At this moment, I feel so miserable that I can't stop crying. Why are you crying? Mark was a light sleeper, and when he opened his eyes, he saw me with tears on my face. Suddenly, I panicked. What did you tell her? He turned his head and asked Robert, who replied lazily, You have a terminal illness, your wife should cry in advance. Don't listen to his nonsense. Mark raised his hand and touched my head. I sobbed, leaning forward and kissing him directly on the lips. Mark, this is how I pay you back for the bet. I lost to you. You bastard, you made me feel so stupid. He gently put his arm around me and smiled bitterly. Linda, between us, you have always been the winner. How can the person who falls in love first become the winner? But in the end, winning or losing is not that important. When two people have become accustomed to each other's existence, who can tell who was attracted first? Mark and I have a business marriage, there is no love involved, only acting skills. One is to escape and not want to face his own heart, the other is to endure it and deny it desperately. It's not that there is no choice, it's that there is one and only one option. Later, Linda pinched his abdominal muscles angrily and came to a conclusion. Mark, why don't you dare to say you like me? You are just shy, right? He didn't deny it. On that day, I was coerced and bribed to make up for all the confessions I had made over the years. That day, Linda said to him, Mark, I regret so much. I regret why I went against you, why the two of us were so twisted and why we wasted so much time. She said that if there was a time machine that could take her back to when she was 18, she would definitely have a sweet childhood sweetheart relationship with him. When she opened her eyes again, she seemed to have really returned to the age of 18. She saw Linda writing love letters to other boys. She hurriedly stopped the 18-year-old Linda. Linda, don't waste your time, your future husband is Mark. 18-year-old Linda glanced in horror at her mortal enemy not far away. How is that possible? Because you two are both Sundaras. Mark may look annoying, but in fact, he has been crazy about you and would bang his head against the wall for you. You got married at the age of 25. Oh, and your husband is in great shape. A year later, your baby was born. His name was Joseph. He was so cute. You loved him so much. Mark was often jealous of your son. Also, when you are 20, don't go to the restaurant in front of the school to eat, don't let him get hurt. Also, send a message to 18-year-old Mark, tell him, don't be shameless when chasing your wife.